Keeping a premature infant alive requires a flawless medical environment. The margin for error is absolute zero, and creating that environment demands an immense amount of upfront capital. Take a look at the hardware inside a Level 3 neonatal intensive care unit, or NICU. A single specialized incubator and its surrounding monitoring systems can cost millions of rupees to install, and that is before you hire a single nurse to run it. Then you hit the human bottleneck. Pediatric subspecialists like neonatologists or pediatric surgeons require between 8 to 12 years of rigorous training after their initial medical degree. They are incredibly rare, and they are expensive to recruit. Traditional multi-specialty hospitals often struggle with these high barriers. Because they treat everything from orthopedics to cardiology, they usually rely on a fragmented system of part-time visiting pediatricians who drop in for consultations. Rainbow Children's Medicare took a different approach. They cut out general medicine entirely to operate as a pure-play hospital network. Every bed, every machine, and every doctor is focused exclusively on pediatrics and maternal care. By stripping away the distraction of general healthcare, Rainbow built a hyper-focused network that generates over 1,700 crore in annual revenue. They achieved this scale through a very specific physical and human architecture. The foundation of their capital efficiency is the hub-and-spoke model. In a major city, Rainbow built a large central hub hospital. These are masses, 140 to 250 bed facilities, equipped to handle quaternary care, which means the most complex, high-risk surgical cases and transplants. Surrounding that central hub, they place 3 to 4 smaller spoke clinics in high-growth suburban neighborhoods. These spokes are leaner, operating with 40 to 100 beds, and they handle 24/7 emergencies, outpatient visits, and basic maternal care. The spokes process high volumes of standard care right where families live. But when a highly complex, high-revenue case arrives at a spoke, that patient is seamlessly referred inward to the central hub. This map shows how effectively they saturated the market in Hyderabad using this exact blueprint. You can see the main Vanjara Hills hub situated right in the center, supported by a web of smaller spokes covering the outer districts. Think about the financial advantage here. Rainbow maximizes their reach across an entire city without having to buy millions of dollars of complex surgical equipment for every single neighborhood clinic. This physical architecture creates a self-feeding patient funnel that perfectly optimizes their most expensive, specialized medical real estate. But an optimized building is useless if you don't have doctors available when a crisis hits. Running a 24/7 pediatric intensive care unit is completely impossible if your specialists are just visiting consultants, splitting their time across 5 different hospitals. To solve this, Rainbow hires their specialists full-time. When they enter a new market, they recruit doctors on a fixed retainer salary for the first 2 to 3 years. This gives the doctors financial security, while the new hospital builds its patient volume. This earnings call transcript outlines what happens next. Chairman Dr. Ramesh Ancharla explains that as the hospital matures, they gradually transition these doctors from that fixed retainer into a variable revenue share model. This transition aligns everyone's incentives. The doctors earn a share of the revenue they help generate, which keeps them deeply engaged in the hospital's success and fosters a collaborative, institutional culture rather than a solo practice mindset. Because these teams work full-time and share in the upside, Rainbow can guarantee round-the-clock availability of top-tier specialists. That creates a competitive moat that giant multi-specialty hospitals simply cannot replicate. Underneath the medical operations sits a very deliberate financial engine. Rather than tying up capital buying land and constructing buildings, Rainbow heavily utilizes a leased real estate model. The developer builds the shell, Rainbow signs a long-term lease, and fits out the medical interior. This cuts their upfront capital intensity by roughly 50% compared to owning the property. This graph illustrates how that lease model impacts profitability. Because rent, equipment, and full-time doctor salaries create a high fixed cost baseline, the master lever for the entire business becomes the occupancy rate. Once patient volume covers those base costs, you see pure operating leverage. Rainbow currently sits around 46% occupancy. As they push toward their target of 55 to 60%, almost all the revenue from those newly filled beds flows directly to the bottom line. That leverage accelerates when you factor in adjacent, high-margin services. Their in-house pharmacy sales grow alongside patient volume, and their IVF business currently adds around 60 crore in high-yield revenue. By filling existing capacity within a leased, fixed-cost infrastructure, Rainbow can multiply its net profit without the massive capital commitment of constructing a single new bed. They are now taking the capital generated by that leverage and pushing outward. Rainbow has an active expansion pipeline stretching into the National Capital Region, Pune, and several Tier 2 cities in southern India. Every new location represents a systematic deployment of the exact hub-and-spoke layout and the revenue-shared doctor blueprint used in their home markets. This expansion targets a massive macro opportunity. Across India, the demand for high-quality, specialized pediatric and maternal healthcare continues to outpace the supply of dedicated facilities. Rainbow's ultimate advantage is that they figured out the math of specialized care. By perfectly aligning life-saving medical outcomes with highly profitable, scalable unit economics, they built a blueprint that works everywhere.